You're listening to Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Hello, welcome to the show, and I am so pleased to be able to announce the show. If you guys don't know me, I'm Cece Schatz, and we have the wonderful Bruce Starr, the love coach, on with us tonight. And I have been so thrilled about this show because we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to actually share and talk about some of the questions that you all have been sending to the love coach. So welcome, Bruce, to the show.
Great to be here. I love talking with people and sharing whatever information I've learned from, it's been a 43-year self-study on several different philosophies on life. And I've studied with some of the great relationship masters that have taught me so much. And, my learning has not been book learning. I really wasn't interested in learning what other people thought about relationships and they wrote in their books unless they came from their hearts. If they came from their hearts, Leo Buscaglia, Marianne Williamson, Dr. Pat Allen, Reverend Michael Beckwith, Dr. Michael Beckwith, I learned from these people personally by studying with them. And then one of the things that really helped me in my relationships and understanding the masses is from 1993 until 2003, I spent a lot of my spare time before I was in a relationship opening up a room on America Online called Relationship Coaching. And over that 10-year period of time, I had over 6,000 detailed, intimate, documented conversations with people from around the country. And they shared their stories with me. And I learned so much about how we were dysfunctional in relationships and why that was and how did that happen. And the combination of working with those 6,000 people and my own investigation and my own studying with those wonderful masters has just given me a lot of insight into why people are not in love, why they're having such a tough time with relationships. And, that's the good news. The bad news is my information that I offer is sometimes something that people don't necessarily want to hear because they'd have to change. They'd have to change the way they do things and to change the way they think about themselves. But without that change, of course, things will keep on being the same. So I'm here for the change masters. I'm here for the people that want to change, that want to improve, that want to get better, that want to expand their hearts and have more love in their lives. And that's easy to say, not necessarily easy to accept. So I'm ready when you are to deal with some of the questions that people have come up with over the last several weeks or months.
Absolutely. And, we have some really terrific individuals that have sent us some great questions and made some really super comments regarding the show. And I'm really thrilled for that. One lady in particular, she had written about really losing confidence that the man would ask her out. So approaching the guys, she still has not found the right one. And she was wondering what she could be doing wrong. So could you give us a little bit of information on that, Bruce? What do you think?
So did she say she lost confidence and instead of waiting for men to come to her, she lost confidence that men would come to her and she started asking men out and approaching men? Was that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, in a situation like that, it all comes down to self-esteem. It all comes down to self-confidence. And we all have different levels of self-esteem, different levels of self-confidence, especially when it comes to relationships. We're all different sizes and shapes. Some are tall, some are short, some are heavy, some are thin, some are old, some are young. And all that makes up the puzzle of what it is to be in relationships. And yes, it's true. as we get a little bit older, and I'm going to assume that this lady that's calling, I might be wrong. I'm going to assume that this lady that wrote in or asked this question was, say, 45 or something like that. And, she's overlooking a very important issue when it comes to attracting men. She's given up on attracting men. She doesn't think she's pretty enough, tall enough, thin enough, young enough, rich enough, whatever it is for her. In her mind, she doesn't think she's enough. So part of that has to be that she has to work on her inner self, that no matter what she thinks she's to this or to that, not enough, she has to have unconditional love and acceptance for herself, no matter what. She can't listen to what other people say, too short, too tall, too thin, too fat, too old, not sexy enough. Whatever it is, she has to be, in her mind, the best that she can be when she goes out there socially. So that's part A.
Let me talk a little bit about Bruce while he's gone and he can't hear us talk about him, because he was explaining to you about his past and how he has worked pretty much his whole life in being able to help people. And I just want to share with you how very lucky we are to have such an expert with not only dating, but relationships. So,
hello.
Hey, hello. You're back.
I'm here.
Had me a little bit worried there. We'll go over on the show because I know with the freezing, for some reason your frame froze and we couldn't get you going. But I was telling everyone how lucky we are to have you on the show and in our lives, because not only just about dating, because, we talk about dating, we talk about those type of things, but it's the underlying of developing relationships that's so crucial. And as we continue to meet people, to build relationships, to continue those relationships on, and for you to be in our lives, to touch us each and every day, every week on these type of shows, I think is a changing experience for us. So I want the listeners to know how lucky they are to have you.
Well, I thank you very much for those kind words. Being married now allows me to look at relationships differently. But I have to say that I was single for a vast majority of my adult life. It's just been the last 20 years that I've been with one woman and married for 13 years. People need to hear that, actually. I'm not just a relationship guy who's got troubled relationships. I took what I learned and I met someone, and we've been together 20 years and we've been married 13 years, and we adopted a beautiful young daughter. So with that said, I want to get back to where I left off, where I froze before, because, we talked about it's all inner work. Inner work. All this stuff about going out there and finding relationships, and we have to find somebody and we have to get into a relationship. It's really all a distraction. I know. I could say this as a married guy. And I got very lonely, and I really wanted to be with people when I was single. But I have to tell you that the most important thing that you can do, having this overall look and being able to sort of look at everything and everybody, is self-love. You have to learn to accept yourself, because if you don't, you'll always be at a lower vibrational level, always looking up, trying to find somebody who has been working on themselves. And the problem is, this person is flying high up here. Do you think he's going to want to take a dive and say, oh, here's an unhealthy person that I can go out with? Not going to happen. They're looking, when they say they're looking for somebody just like themselves, they are. They're looking for someone who's taken the time to raise their vibration and feel good about themselves. And when you feel good about yourselves, no matter what, you raise your vibration, whether you know it or not, because you're happier. You look happier. You're kinder. You're more attractive. So when you're looking and looking and looking, that's very unattractive. But when you are working on yourself and improving your own lives and working on hobbies and hugging trees and whatever it is for you, you're doing yoga, whatever it is for you that you're doing to build inside, that's the most important thing. Getting back to the lady who felt like she was losing self-confidence about attracting guys. I guarantee you that lady has lost the art of what women had for thousands and thousands of years. And what they had was the ability to attract someone, not to go out and hunt down someone and go after someone. That's very masculine and very aggressive and very assertive. Women had all the power because when men approached them, they could choose who they wanted to be with. And they can still do that. And here's the two things that women can do that gets them back their power so that when they do meet somebody interesting, they don't look so desperate, they're not so desperate that they go up to you because they don't think you're going to go up to them. What does that say to the guy when a woman goes up to a man? It says, why is she coming up to me? That doesn't say much about her that she's coming up to me. This is what men think. Ladies, you can think whatever you want. When you approach a man, we're kind of, that's kind of a rush for us. We kind of like the idea. We think we're going to get lucky. I mean, hey, you're coming right up to us. We don't have to do anything. But it's not really of the highest energy. It's not really of the highest nature. What is of the highest nature is for a woman to see a man and do two things. One is to make eye contact with them. It could be across the room. When I was in college, there was a girl completely across the room. She had these beautiful hazel eyes, and she locked those hazel eyes on me across the room at the school bar, and I was mesmerized. And I felt so excited, and I felt safe in that if I went over to say hello to her, she wasn't going to embarrass me or reject me. So here she made this beautiful eye contact with me, and wow, did that make me feel good. The second thing is, after she made that beautiful eye contact with me, she smiled at me. Oh my God, she smiled at me. It showed without her coming over to me and being masculine and being assertive, it showed that she looked at me and she found me interesting, attractive. She found me someone who she wanted to get to know better. And when she smiled and when she made her eye contact with me, it made me feel safe that she wasn't going to embarrass me. I went over to her and we started a relationship. So those are the two things that a woman can do. Now, if he doesn't respond, he wasn't the right one. They can't all be the right one. But if he's maybe he's married, maybe he's in a relationship, maybe he's gay, you have no idea what it is if he doesn't respond. Find someone else that you want to look at and think is interesting and smile at them and make eye contact with them. But do not go over to them. Let them come over to you by showing them that you're interested. That's a long answer, but it's a very, very important answer that every woman should really know.
Well, our next question, the lady had written to us, and let's see here if I can find it. I'm a very successful businesswoman. When it comes to business, everything is going great. I want to find an equal who is not intimidated by my success. How do I find him? Is he really out there?
I hear that more and more, and I'm sure you do too, just by having conversations, because women have gotten very successful. They've gotten just as successful as men, sometimes even more, which is wonderful in business. Fantastic. But the world around them has really stayed the same when it comes to relationships. It really has. The world has not changed, but women have changed by becoming much more involved in business, in work, and getting that paycheck. And to get there, they've become a lot more masculine in nature and much more assertive. Nothing wrong with that. It's great in business. But when it comes to romantic relationships, and I've told you this story before, and you'll continue to hear me say it. I used to go see Dr. Pat Allen, this 80-year-old lady who used to pack the movie theaters in Los Angeles with actors, actresses, producers, studio heads, you name it. They were there because they found their power in business, and they were all alone and lonely in relationships because they got caught up in being masculine and aggressive. Men, that's their role. They want to be the ones that are masculine and assertive. And when they find people that don't allow that to happen, we don't know what to do. We're confused. We don't know how to act. We don't know what we should be doing. And it's very, very confusing. Now, when I hear a woman say, I want to be a man that's not threatened by my power. Well, how attractive is that in the relationship world? I mean, it's great that they're successful in business, but don't forget about how to be attractive as a female. And if you go around saying to people, men are so threatened by me and they just don't like my power, that's not very attractive. It isn't attractive at all because that's not the truth. Yes, men don't want to battle with another woman in bed and in relationships, and they shouldn't have to in their personal relationships. But many times, a woman who is very strong and successful in business doesn't realize that she's losing her power in her romantic relationships. And so she says, I want a man who's strong and won't be put off by me. You know, it's not what she thinks it is. She really, the idea would be to be strong in her business and learn how to be a feminine, receptive woman so she can be open to meeting masculine, aggressive men. Because as Dr. Pat Allen would say, really the only combination that will work on a long-term basis that worked for 10,000 years is the masculine, assertive male pursuing a feminine, receptive female. Both very, very powerful, but each with a role that works. And I could do a whole weekend on this, why the other roles don't work, but I think you have some more questions.
Oh, absolutely. The next question, face up here. The next question, I love this one because I think we so often as women want to ask this all the time. It seems like men just want sex, and when they first meet them, and we're looking for something long-term, like a long-term relationship. So what are we doing wrong? Are we doing something wrong that makes them just want to think about sex all the time?
Okay, so nothing that you're doing is wrong, but you need to rethink where you're going out and meeting people like that. Because many times when I hear that, they're meeting people at locations like clubs, bars, gyms, whatever, and people aren't going to like me when I say that, where people's spiritual energies are kind of come in last place. They're not the most spirited of people. They haven't worked on themselves. So when I hear women say, men just want to have sex with me, several things come up for me. One, where are you going? Where you're meeting those men? Most of the times it's at low energy places. And number two, when you're out there socializing, what part of you are you showcasing? Many times, and women might not even realize this, many times they're showcasing their bodies and they're showing, their themselves, and they wonder why men are after them for their bodies when that's what they're showcasing. And so they have to think about that when they go out. Men will pick up on what you're showing them. So if you don't want to showcase the sexual part of you, if you don't want them thinking about sex, see, you're thinking if you don't showcase the sexual part, that they may not be attracted to you. Oh, there we go. We're back to the low self-esteem where you don't think you're attractive enough unless you're showing as much as you can and as often as you can. And so that's the mistake that people are making. They need to have more self-confidence in themselves. They need to have more inner faith. They have to have more self-love, that the people that they're going to attract are not going to think about sex the first thing when they see them. So, yes, you have to start raising your level of where you meet people and the way you interact with them. Because, again, the guys that are just thinking about sex are down here. The guys that are thinking about love and commitment and relationships are up here. And, yeah, they like looking at women that show a little bit here and there, but it's not really what they're looking for. They're not looking for the lowest energy levels. They're looking to work on these higher chakra levels, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown. They're looking to connect with people on a higher level, where the open shirts and the this and that are more on the lower levels and the lower chakra levels. So it's all how we showcase ourselves, Cece.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. I just love it when you talk about this, because the thing is that we have to really think about what we are putting out there. And you say it so many times in so many different ways. And so often what we're attracting is what we're putting out there. And so I really, really like that. And I hope our audience really gets that, because if you're really coming up with negative and people that are just not really what you think would be the right individuals in your life, you need to step back, right? And heal a little bit and look at yourself and raise that vibration up. See what you need to do to raise that vibration up.
That's right.
So I just love what you're saying. Absolutely.
And nobody really wants to hear this, because it's what they do and it's the only thing that they know. So when you hear this stuff, you're not going to like it. It's like, who is this guy? Who does he think he is, telling me I'm doing this? Like we had somebody last week. Oh, boy, she gave me a whole earful about who is this guy, and he's telling me I'm wrong, and he's telling me I shouldn't be doing this. You know, it's like, I'm not here to argue with anybody. I mean, if nobody wants to hear this message, that's okay. I have no problem with it. But the message is out there that it's all up to us. It has nothing to do with what's going on out there. It all has to do with what's going on in here. And when we change, we'll raise our vibration and we'll start meeting more higher vibration people.
Well, those of you that don't know, we have Deidre Newman in the house. So it's nice to have her listening in on the Luvcoach show, because she's a great person and she's very active within WGSN-DB. So we want to thank her for the support tonight that she's given us. Let's move on to the last question of the evening. This person wrote, I can't seem to get past the second date after I ask her out. This gentleman is saying after he asks her out, their dating history. Wait a minute. After he asks her about his dating history, and then she asks about his, what are they doing wrong? So it sounds like the question is a little gobbled, but what it sounds like, Bruce, is that when they start on the first date and they start talking about each other's past, then it becomes a little sticky. And so are we maybe talking about some of our stuff, our baggage a little bit too early?
We should never, ever bring up old relationships in the first few dates. It is not constructive. It's destructive. It's confusing. And, when I watch the show, The Bachelor, and this right now, there's a female bachelorette dating a bunch of guys. And I really I like all those relationship shows. I learn a lot from them. But the first thing she does when she gets some of these guys alone, she'll say, tell me about your last relationship. And if he falls for it and he starts sharing about that, the first thing he's going to say is, I fell in love. And when she hears that, she doesn't want to hear that. She doesn't want to hear that he was already in love with someone. So as much as she's asking, it's only, and you could see her face when he says, I was in love, we broke up a year ago, and all of a sudden her face goes from this to like that. Because you should not be talking about what went wrong in your old relationships, because what you're doing is you're giving information for the other person who may not have their stuff together to find things wrong with you and find reasons not to see you again because you sound so broken, you sound so brokenhearted, you don't sound healed. And believe me, there's a lot of people out there that ask those questions. Why? Hopefully they're really curious, but really what they're doing is because they have such intimacy problems, they're looking for reasons and excuses not to date you any longer because you're so broken, because you're so brokenhearted. You're not broken, but they're looking at you that way. And so you're just giving them reasons not to date you anymore. You're taking all the mystery out of dating by telling them everything about you, all about your old relationships and how you were so screwed up and unhealthy. Don't do it. If they ask, talk about your relationships in neutral terms. Talk about how good it was. Talk about what you learned from them. But don't start personalizing the other person that you were with, because it's going to make the other person feel insecure and it's going to make them feel bad. And they don't really want to hear it. I don't know why they're asking it. They shouldn't be asking it. So when they ask you about old relationships, just say, you know what? I'd rather talk about something else because I'm here with you. I want to get to know you. I don't want to bring up old relationships. I'm not with that person anymore. I'm here with you. And I want to make the best possibility of being with you. So that's the biggest tip that I can give anyone when you start dating. Be a mystery. Don't tell it all. I once had a woman say to me, I want to just spew it all out and vomit it all out. And if he's still there at the end of the day, maybe he's for me. No, he was just terribly unhealthy and dysfunctional to still be at that table. If you just spew out all this and vomit out everything all your problems, that is so dysfunctional. Don't do it. Let people get to know you slowly and surely at a slow pace. And certainly two things, don't text. Don't text. Don't let them track you every step that you take, every place that you go. Because the moment you don't text them back, where were you? What did you do? Don't do it. There was no texting for 10,000 years. Don't do it now. Be a mystery. He doesn't need to know where you are every minute. She doesn't need to know where you are every minute. Say no texting. And they'll start texting and they'll start testing you. I'm sorry, don't texting. If you're going to be 10 minutes late for an appointment, text me if you have to, or else there's no texting. We talk on the phone and we spend time in person. There's no texting, and don't let them change your mind.
Wow, that is such good advice, and I really appreciate it. You know, these were some really great questions. And again, all you have to do if you want to reach out to Bruce, give them your email so that if they have any more questions, they want to contact you, they can.
Sure. You know, I do one-on-one relationship coaching. I speak. I can come and speak to your church, to your temple, to your community group. I can speak at colleges and universities, but I can do one-on-one relationship coaching with you. I'm working with a celebrity out in California right now, and things are going really, really great. It's Luvcoach, L-U-V Coach, the number 1 at gmail.com. And if you want to save months and years of the same problems over and over and over again, work with a relationship coach. If you truly want to have love in your life, some people say, I want love in my life, but they won't do anything to get it. And, that's fine. But if you truly want love in your life and you're not getting the right results, find out where you're going wrong. Let's put a plan together. I'll be with you every step of the way when you date or if you're with someone to help you recreate a healthier relationship, recreate healthier dating. I'll be with you every step of the way. And by the way, anybody that calls me in these last few days of June, I will speak to you absolutely free for 10 or 15 minutes. So you can call me. I'll give you my number, 561-203-5514. Call me, make an appointment with me. I'll spend 10, 15 minutes with you. I'm here to help. I'm here to help anyone that wants help. And all you have to do is reach out and let's do it.
Wow, that is awesome. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. So everyone, you are listening to Going Solo Network. We are the internet talk station for singles. We have the most awesome Bruce Starr, the love coach himself, on tonight, sharing with us some of the questions that he gets, of many questions that he gets emailed directly to him. And again, he's given us a wonderful offer tonight to be able to reach out and talk to him if we're having some difficulty and we want to move forward in our lives. But most of all, if we want to create that change. And in order to make that movement of choice, you have to do something about it. And that's what we're all about. So thank you again, Bruce, for being on our station. We appreciate it. You are totally awesome. And we thank you so much for your time and your care. Okay?
So glad to be here. I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're doing. Whatever
Wonderful.
I can do to help people in the world, I'm there. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you're wonderful. Well, this is CC Schatz signing off for Going Solo Network. Again, want to thank Bruce Starr, the wonderful love coach. He really helps us and moves us forward in life, and we do appreciate that. We want to be whole. We want to make sure that we really attract that right person in our lives, and I know he is there to help us each and every time. So back here, same place, same time, to listen to Bruce Starr, the love coach. We'll be back. Talk to you later. Bye, guys. Thanks, Bruce.
You're listening to Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.